Welcome to part 2 of our story about our premature daughter, Emmy. Part 1 got a little bit emotional. Did it get emotional?
I want to say, I feel like we've had so much time to process, and you and I have a tendency to process better through like laughing about things and
definitely.
trying to make light of things. So I definitely teared up at one point, but I don't think it was visible in the last.
I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I know.
Really? Which bit was it?
Oh, I can't remember. I watched the episode this morning.
I'm gonna have to
and
watch back.
I remember the feeling of when I was saying it.
All right.
Yeah, I can't remember what.
Go back to part 1
was.
and try and find when.
Yeah, you won't be
Sarah
able
was
to.
crying. But yeah, it's Dan and Sarah, and yeah, this is our story about our second born, our little girl Emmy. And if you watch part 1, we just finished talking about her being born 26 weeks premature.
I feel like
you
should watch the first one before you watch the second one.
Definitely, yeah.
It's one of those things.
This ain't gonna make sense.
Yeah, you need to know the whole story, I guess.
Yeah, but if you're not gonna listen to that and you're just gonna listen from here on, quick recap: our daughter was born at 26 weeks, so that's extremely premature, and we left it there.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're just listening to this is also available on Spotify with video and YouTube, and we have some props with us.
Yeah.
We've got a few things from the NICU, and yeah.
So why don't we pick up with I don't know if we're really going to remember like day by day what happened, so I think it's kind of silly to be like, let's start with day 2.
No, of course, but we did.
But on one of the early days, I think it was probably day 2 or 3, when we went to the NICU, we found a care package left at Emmy's incubator.
Yes, we did.
And in the care package was, we didn't ever end up putting, I'm going to block out the rest of her name. We didn't end up putting a picture of Emmy in it. But we didn't have a printer, so we didn't know.
So you have the option to put a picture of
and
of
these
your baby
tabs
at the
in
front.
here are just a couple of pages that we might have a look at.
Yeah.
And it also came with a story to read to Emmy every day. This is Harry McClary and Zachary Quack.
That was our first book.
I haven't read this since we've been home from the NICU, because we were there for 87 days, and I read this book
89 days, wasn't it?
Was it 89?
89, yeah.
Okay. And I read this book probably over 200 times, so I have not read that since Emmy got home.
They also give us these little things that we call bunnies,
but they're not bunnies because it's only got one ear.
It looks terrible. It looks like a white hooded thing. I'm not going to go into, but the purpose of these. So yeah, if you're just listening, they look a bit like a bunny, don't they? But they're like a
one-eared bunny.
What is it? It's a cloth, isn't it? It's a cloth with a head.
It's fabric.
And the idea is to put it under your t-shirt when you're not.
It was it's mostly for moms, because you're trying to get your baby ready for breastfeeding, or like just to have the maternal smell.
When you're not with her, you wear it.
I would wear it in my bra, essentially. Yeah. And then when I would go see Emmy, she would have one and I would have one, and then I would switch them. So she would have my scent and I would have hers. Yeah,
she's in an incubator.
Yeah.
If we hadn't said that already.
Yeah. So I had my bunny with me all the time, and Emmy always had hers. Do you remember the big weighted hand?
Yeah, I want one of them still. Because like
that was hospitals, but they give you like
it's a glove. A Beanie Baby glove, isn't it?
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, and it's to like lay on top of babies.
To trick the baby to think that you're still holding them.
Yeah.
But like even Henry now, he's 4.5, and he wants me to tickle rub his back or something, and I just leave my hand on his back sometimes, and he likes it sometimes. I'm thinking, if I had that weighted glove, I could just put it there and leave.
Yeah. A couple other things that we have. So
oh gosh,
these are, so this was Emmy's.
I wouldn't worry about showing the camera. I'll like edit the picture in of it. So just,
well, you should, when you take a picture of it, see how small it is. This would fit over Emmy's mouth and nose.
That's a CPAP, isn't it?
CPAP mask, yeah. And then the CPAP would go on the front.
How small that is.
Tiny. teeny tiny.
Where's her? Yeah.
And then these are her nose prongs.
Nose
so
prongs.
When she wasn't on CPAP, because they have to switch them out every once in a while to make the babies comfortable, they'll switch to a nose prong for oxygen. So we have those.
We didn't. I'm not going to include any pictures of Emmy during the NICU.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's necessary. And some of them, even though she's absolutely beautiful, it's unnecessary.
They can be a little bit triggering for people who.
They're very triggering. Yeah. And
Those are for us.
I don't feel comfortable putting them out there. But this is the hat that she was wearing when she was born. I mean, she wasn't wearing it when she was born, but they put it on just after. Funny thing is, it actually fits over my mic. Like, when you think about if it goes on a microphone, how small her head was.
Yeah.
It's actually wild. So there's a few little prongs there, and then you made this, didn't you?
Yeah, that's just salt dough, but that wasn't when she was born.
No, she was born in September, and this was in the February, and just how small her hand. That's the size of her hand.
How old? September, October, November, December, January, February, March, February. Oh, 5
February.
months.
5 months old.
Yeah.
5 months old, and it's so small. Anyway, let's actually get into the story of the NICU then. So, first couple of days was getting used to the NICU, and then I was going to and from home, which is 45-minute drive each way.
Yeah.
With Henry, who was staying at family houses, but he was staying with me as well because I was sleeping at home.
I think you would drop him off with somebody in the daytime, and then you would pick him up at nighttime. Yeah,
and it was really strange because I remember thinking, how long is this going to be? Like, is Emmy going to be in the hospital for like 2 weeks? Which is crazy to think about when she was in there for 3 months. I was honestly like, I know she's so small, but I couldn't imagine a world where we'd have to be in hospital with her for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I was like...
It seems so long.
Yeah, I was like, we're put up with like the driving to and from Bristol.
Yeah.
Probably like in a month's time she'll be coming home. Like, it sucks, but it's a few weeks.
Yeah.
And day 3, I've been saying 1,000 times in this episode, and I'm really frustrated with myself. But day 3 is when we were introduced to the Grand Appeals Cots for Tots House. Yeah. And that is a charity house for parents with sick children. Yeah. In our particular house, it was newborn babies, wasn't it?
Yes.
Everybody in... So
Cots for Tots is strictly newborn.
It's babies, yeah.
And then if you needed to have a charity house for a sick child, you would go to like a Ronald McDonald house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is that's not run by the Grand Appeal, but there were...
No, it's McDonald's.
Yeah, so I was still on the ward at this point. Like, I was still recovering.
Yeah.
I was not released yet. So I remember you going over with Henry to see the Cots for Tots house.
Yeah.
And showing me pictures and stuff. And like...
Yeah.
At first you thought...
Well...
Because they said that they didn't have any family rooms. So we were really worried that we wouldn't be allowed to have Henry with us.
Yeah. So I met with the manager, Anne, who is amazing, isn't she? Yeah. She still runs it now, and we still go and see her whenever we're nearby. And I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but in the NICU, one of the nurses said, if you want to be signed up for the charity house, that you can qualify for it because you live a certain distance away. And I said, we'll have a look at it.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, what's this place actually going to look like? I thought it's just going to be like a really rundown place.
I was picturing more like a hospital room.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of Henry's, like...
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to just stay in like a hostel with like a load of people in one room. Or I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm thinking like some dark, gloomy, horrible place. I don't know why. And got there, and it's absolutely stunning, isn't it? Yeah. It's spotlessly clean. There's 11 bedrooms, so 11.
I don't know.
So 11 couples or parents can stay there, and each each bedroom has an ensuite bathroom.
Yeah.
Like
it's like a hotel. It looks like...
It's a hotel.
Your bedroom looks like a hotel room.
Yeah.
And then it's a shared kitchen, lounge, dining room.
Yeah.
Which were all like beautiful.
Yeah,
like,
you all have your
very
designated...
clean cupboards. Shelf in the refrigerator and freezer. Yeah.
I wish I knew, like, on day one of going into that charity house, I wish I was aware of how much that's going to help me.
Yeah.
Like, how much that charity house actually helped us, or me especially. I don't know how, I'm not going to talk for you, but
yeah,
I think if you took the charity house away from our experience, we would have struggled like crazy. Yeah,
it would have been having to make choices of like, because I don't drive in the UK, so
we were looking at like, well, I was looking at booking.com and hotels at long-term lease.
Yeah.
And trying to think like, oh, maybe I could contact the host and see if I get a deal for like 3 weeks living in a hotel or something.
Yeah.
And they asked.
So
it's a free accommodation.
Yeah, it's free. So when after Anne walked you around Cots for Tots, were you like, all right, yeah, we want this room?
It was like a massive weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah. And I want to mention this because I think that she deserves a shout out. The worry I then had was we have a dog at home and we can stay in this charity house, which is great, but I still need to go back every day to let the dog out.
Yeah.
And the dog can't come here, and I'm not going to rehome our dog.
No.
And I don't want to pay to put him in a kennel every day. So our next door neighbor, Ayla, she had Freddie for us, looked after him every single day.
Her son took his first steps in our living room when we weren't here.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know. I still don't know if she realizes how much that actually.
We were like,
us.
we weren't new, but like we had only lived here for like what, a year
just
at that
under
point?
2 years.
Yeah,
but in those 2 years, we saw her a handful of times.
Yeah, it wasn't super often. We were friendly. She's always been friendly. Yeah. But yeah,
it felt awkward asking her.
Yeah,
but she was
so willing to help.
Yeah,
yeah, it was incredible.
And it's actually, I think it's made us closer as neighbours since. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just wild to think back at it, wasn't it? And my mum came and stayed at the house a few times as well.
Yeah, so if Ayla saw like your mom's van, she wouldn't.
Yeah,
she wouldn't
they
come
worked
by.
alongside each other. So mum would stay here, stay with the dog for like a week, or you know, and stuff like that.
Do what she could too.
And it was just like that whole worry of how are we gonna be close to Emmy, but also be able to afford to live in Bristol. Mm-hmm. It's right in the city centre of Bristol. If you know Bristol and know St Michael's, anywhere around there, it's
yeah, we were really lucky to have the charity
very
house.
Expensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a huge shout out to Cots for Tots. Grand Appeal.
And this was such an important charity, like to us. We had such like an emotional attachment to it that you actually ran your own marathon for them.
I did. Yeah, it was a very, very proud day for me.
Yeah.
I ran from West Supermare Pier to the hospital in Bristol. Mm-hmm. My own marathon, and I think it was 2,700, just under, that we raised.
Oh, I can't remember. I don't have no idea.
Well, during the run, it was at like 600, and I was like, that's amazing. But my goal was 1,000. Yeah. And halfway through, I saw that it was like 2,500, and it just finished it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll leave the link to that. If you want to donate to the charity. Yeah. We can leave the link in the bio.
Let's get back to Emmy's story, though.
That's the that's the charity
house. We'll keep mentioning like the Cots for Tots house. So that's what we're talking about.
A lot of the stories are there.
But I thought we could just go through, like, this will help us
read a couple of
pinpoint what happened. So I don't know if we
read day one, because I remember a nurse wrote it for us.
Yes, she did. It was Claire.
Okay.
Emmy, we started a special medicine to help your heart. You started small feeds, 1 ml every 4 hours. And then I wrote, Hi, Emmy. Mommy came to chat with you and you briefly opened your eyes. It was the first time Mommy saw your eyes open. Dada was here earlier with us and he showed Mom how to adjust your glasses.
Glasses?
She was under a blue light. She had to wear glasses.
She had goggles, didn't she? Yeah.
So she had jaundice, which is really common in premature babies. So they put a blue light over her, but she has to wear like special sunglasses.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad assisted with your feed for the first time, and Dada took lots of pictures. So that's day 1, and
we're not going to read all days.
No, we're not going to read all day, but like day 1, it's like kind of mapped out, like who.
So we didn't actually say, we said it in the last part, but part 1 about this book. But this book is basically a diary. It's got 100 pages.
Yeah.
And we wrote in it. I made sure.
We wrote in it every day.
That even if I just wrote, "I love you, Emmy."
Yeah, it was every day.
All the way up until...
But it starts with your story. Your nurses today are day nurse and night nurse.
Yeah, they fill that in for us.
Corrected gestational age. Emmy was 26 weeks and 5 days, and she weighed 0.841 grams.
What?
She weighed...
Oh, grams.
Yeah, 8.1 grams.
I remember it was 1 pound. 8.
But then I started... Because Henry was only 16 months old, he was going through a lot of changes as well.
I love that you did this.
I told you I was going to...
You did. You promised you'd call before bed.
Henry's having a sleepover at my mum's house. And
are you having fun?
It's his first sleepover.
You skipped bath time. So on the other side, it's blank. Just like a blank piece of paper. So we wrote every day something about Henry. Some of them are short. Like Henry woke up at 5:30 and wouldn't go back to sleep. We're tired. I love you, Henry, Mom.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
So like just some of them are longer than others, but yeah.
Because it was Emmy's story, but Henry was there as well, and he was only 16 months old.
Yeah,
and his sayings as he started learning new words, he would say that to the other parents that we became friends with in the house, and "oh no" was literally if somebody made a mistake or dropped something, they'd go "oh no," like mimicking Henry. It was really sweet. It was what's it called, the what am I trying to think of?
I don't know.
Not the theme tune, the phrase of the house.
Yeah, I guess
it's not the phrase.
Whatever.
Anyway,
so we're not going to remember specifics of each day, and we're not going to go through the entire book on a podcast. But
well, I haven't actually looked at that since she came home.
Yeah, I've looked at it a couple of times.
2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Maybe we should actually go through it together at some point.
Yeah.
But back to her NICU story. They kind of warned us at the beginning that like a NICU journey is like a wave. It goes up and it's down and it's up and it's down. So there's going to be really high times where she's making progress, but they can dip really low and then go back to being high and things like that. So we were constantly anticipating the low. Yeah. It was constant.
Which means you can't enjoy the highs.
No.
You have like good news, but you're happy about it. But then you're also, you feel like, that sense of, it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
So you can't fully enjoy it.
Yeah.
But fortunately for us, she was just up
I think our biggest hiccup was I genuinely can't remember when they started doing they do brain scans on it's ultrasounds.
7. It was a week after their born.
I think it's like every 2 weeks or something, because she kept having repeat ones. But anyway, they do an ultrasound on the brain to see if the ventricles
on the soft spot,
and on the soft spot have any buildup of blood, because brain bleeds are extremely common in premature babies.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. So at first they told us
everything was fine.
Yeah, at first they told us no brain bleed. She's absolutely fine. And then don't lose my markers. I'm just going to go through the whole brain bleed story, even though it's like skipping ahead, but I don't feel like we're going to keep coming back to it. So on week 1, they told us she didn't have a brain bleed.
Yeah.
And then
for 7 days we were like,
fantastic.
She doesn't
have a brain bleed. Like, we have nothing to worry about, because that was my biggest concern, was a brain bleed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then it was day 14. My God, my phone is just going mental. Day 14, they did another brain scan.
Yeah.
And
around that sort of date, yeah.
They were worried about a grade 2 or 3.
They said grade 2, but it was so minor that it was like a grade 1 or something like that. But we didn't have a clue about grade 1, 2, 3. I wasn't aware of it. But we had a nurse one night, and they are all amazing, but because of this one night, she wasn't our favourite. She told me that I said, how was she doing? Like just a general, how's she doing? I just arrived there after Henry gone to bed. And she said, all good. I went on the computer, was next to her. She went, all fine, apart from the brain, the blood clot in the brain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Because nobody had mentioned
And she said,
it.
oh, you'll have to speak to the doctors at 8 o'clock in the morning when they do their rounds. I'm in a position now, like, do I tell you what I've just heard? Because now it's like 12 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? Fortunately, it wasn't that. And the consultant talked us through, and they pulled up a brain scan.
They pulled up Emmy's brain scan.
And I've never seen that. And
he showed us, so he told us that it takes pictures like slide by slide, and you can see how far the bleed has progressed and like what makes it a stage 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
And she was she could be pushing a stage 2, but she was more in the grade 1, which is like the bottom of the ventricles have a little bit of blood in them. And then I think if it's filling up to halfway, it's a grade 2. So it's something like that. I can't remember. Don't quote me.
If it leaks out,
it's a grade 3, and if it leaks out further than like some part of the brain, it's a grade 4.
Yeah.
We were extremely lucky that it was a grade 1/2.
Yeah. But
we were panicking and constantly asking about the brain scans because of everything that I had been through with my dad. And we were worried about her mental capacity. Yeah.
It was absolutely horrendous.
Because you're trying to see into the future as the doctors are telling you things. So like if your baby has a grade 4 brain bleed, you're trying to think of what's his life going to look like? What's their life going to look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And when it's a grade 1 or 2, it like compared to a grade 4, it's minimal, but it's still absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. But also, we went a whole week from being told that it was all
no brain bleed,
to then, we're just keeping an eye on this brain bleed.
Yeah.
A brain clot is what she said.
Yeah, the nurse.
The terminology was wrong, what she said.
Yeah.
But so we were very lucky there, and Emmy was extremely lucky that she never had any infections and needing operations and stuff.
Neck is really common. It's a infection in the bowel, isn't it? And they have to dissect some of the bowel and remove some of that, and it's an extremely common infection, and we were extremely lucky that Emmy didn't have that. I marked this page.
What day is this?
Day 11. But I think I marked it because Emmy had a full feed, which would have probably only been like a mil of breast milk.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So she had a feeding tube.
Yeah, she had a feeding tube.
In her nose at this time. And you had to get the syringe.
It was not in her nose. Yes, it was. Sorry.
To start with, it was.
Yeah.
And then when she got a little bit bigger, it was in her mouth.
Yeah, sorry.
But to start with, you need to get the syringe on the end of the feeding tube and extract a bit of the
That's right, I
stomach
forgot
bowel.
about
The stomach.
Bile.
Huh? Bile. And then put that onto a test strip to see if there's infection. Is that right? Infection?
Leftover milk. They're looking to make sure that she's digesting food.
Yeah, it's like the right pH number, isn't it? And stuff.
Yeah, you have to like check a
and
pH.
When you're first tasked to do this, like the nurse,
you're terrified.
Just give it a pull. Sometimes it's a bit difficult, and you're like, I'm gonna pull her stomach out. Like, this is great. Like, I'm not a NICU nurse.
Yeah, but they
after
want
3 months, I almost put my CV in there.
They want you to be as involved as possible with their care. So that's feeding, doing the tubes, like everything.
Also, they are so overrun with what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
That if a parent can feed their own child, that's one less task that they need to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's so important that you're able to do that. And
yeah,
remember holding her for the first time.
Terrifying.
Holding her for the first time, I didn't enjoy it.
No, she because she's connected to tubes. She had a CPAP machine on, so like if it nudged, then she wouldn't be able to breathe properly.
Did she have the CPAP at this point, or did we hold her when she had the breathing?
No, I'm pretty sure we. This sounds harsh, but I'm pretty sure we refused because one of the babies next to us was taken out with a.
Because it
incubator.
Came out of her lung, so she stopped breathing.
That was the only. Was that the only code red that we have ever seen?
I think so.
We were like in the room, didn't know what to do because all of a sudden tons of doctors started swarming in, and we're like, I feel uncomfortable being here because this is an emergency on somebody else's child.
We're on day 2 when this happened.
And we wanted to give them like their privacy and like respect and everything.
And they're in tears, thinking.
It's terrifying.
But luckily that baby's
so when
still
Emmy
good
was
now.
intubated, that's the word. When she was intubated, I did not want to hold her. I was way too scared.
We put our hands in the incubator.
Yeah, we held her that way, but she was never wasn't on me until she was on a CPAP.
Yeah. Because I remember, I think it was the first time or second time holding her, and she had the CPAP machine, and the CPAP hose popped out of the machine, or popped out of somewhere, the connector. So as I'm holding her, you put it on, and it went, and I'm like, something doesn't sound right all of a sudden. And I look, and I'm like, she's not connected. It's fine. It wasn't breathing for her.
Yeah.
It was the CPAP. I remember what I was saying before I cut
it. Yeah, did you know?
I had to cut it earlier because my phone rang. The CPAP, it gives the baby like the initial.
It's comparing it to blowing up a balloon. Is what you were saying. So the first time you blow into a balloon, it can be difficult to like get it to open.
Yeah.
But once it's open, blowing into it is no problem, and that's what a CPAP does. It keeps it open.
Up her lungs, and then she can breathe herself.
Yeah.
And not burn too many calories doing it. Basically, because we wanted her to put on as much weight as possible, as fast as possible. Remember, we couldn't wait for her to be at 1 kilogram.
Yeah.
And we'd weigh her, and it'd be like.
Well, because there's a 1K.
How did we do it? Did it not say the weight every page?
It does.
How did we weigh her every day?
They weighed her every morning.
Really?
Yeah. They weighed her all the time because
Could we skim through to see what
right
day?
Here.
Oh, what day was she 1 kilogram?
She hit 1 kg on day 19.
19 days for her to hit 1 kg.
Yeah. 1.022.
I remember after that day, we had maybe a week or a few days or something, and every single day it just felt amazing. It felt like she's hit that.
Yeah.
And it felt like we're on the home straight, but we weren't. We weren't even halfway through. We were like a quarter of the way through.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. I can't believe that we were there for 89 days. I'm going to skip forward to the last day when we're being discharged. It's wild to say this now, but I said it as a joke, but also my OCD. I was like, do we have to go home today? Or can we go home tomorrow? Can we just round it up to 90? That's how I remember it's 89 days.
Yeah.
I was like, can you not just round it up?
Just
let us stay one more night.
I care about that. I first held Emmy on day 17.
First held her?
First held her.
Did I hold her before that?
No, you held her on day 23.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it being that long.
I think it was that long. Count down to 1 month old. We waited a long time to hold her.
That is absolutely...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You held her on day 18. It was the next day.
But still, 18 days. But
we
she
did
was
not hold
so
her.
small.
Yeah.
What was her weight on day 18? Or did she hit...
It was right before she hit 1 kilogram, I think.
So
Yeah, right
let's
before.
so 1 kilogram, but what was she on day one in grams? Wasn't she like 400 and something?
The lowest she got was 0.742 kg.
Is it?
Yeah, which is grams, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, kilogram.
Yeah.
1 kilogram is 100.
Is grams, yeah. So she was
1,000
742
is 1,000 grams.
Yeah, she was 742 grams. That was at her lowest weight, which was day 2.
I thought she was 600 for some reason. Did she lose weight?
Oh, she did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But we wrote, we're not sure it's accurate. It was 646.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because then she shot up the next day.
Wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
If you to see it now.
Yeah. But
this podcast is literally all over the place.
But during this time with Henry, like Henry was staying with us in the Cots for Tots house, we made a trick that kind of worked because there were no more family rooms at Cots for Tots, and Henry was still he wasn't in a cot at home. We had just moved him into a big boy bed.
Yeah.
But then when we went to Cots for Tots, he had a travel cot.
Yeah.
And this sounds crazy, but if we were to keep Henry in the room with us, we were never going to leave him in that room by himself to go down to the lounge or whatever.
He was asleep at 7.
Yeah, his bedtime was 7, so we couldn't have him, like, if he went to bed at 7, then we all would have had to go to bed at 7.
Yeah, or one of us is.
So it was a really large bathroom, and we would put Henry's cot in the bathroom and like be able to shut the door so then we can have the lights on and like watch a movie, or you would go see Emmy and I would watch a movie or whatever.
But also talking about Emmy.
Yeah, talking about Emmy, just not going to bed at 7.
What we need to tell, what we need to speak to the consultants about tomorrow. And yeah.
So Henry slept in a bathroom for 3 months.
But we've spoke about this on another.
I feel like we
episode,
have. Yeah.
And I swear I cut it out because I was like, "Oh, people are going to be like, what? You did what?"
He was in a travel cot.
It wasn't a normal bathroom. It was like another room, but there was a shower there.
It was a really big bathroom.
Yeah, it was warm.
And we couldn't see us going down to the living room because we were on the 2nd floor. The living room is on the 1st floor, and it is like a hotel. I mean, nobody would have hurt him. They're all in the same situation, but we would have never left him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And during the Cots for Tots times, like, we met so many wonderful people, wonderful couples who were also staying there because of their children.
I wish that we were still in contact with a lot of them.
Yes.
We see one couple twice a year. Yeah. Minimum.
Yeah.
On Henry's birthday and on Emmy and their son's birthday.
Yeah.
Because Emmy and their son is just 3 days apart.
Yeah, and we see them, like, Emmy's birthday is in September, so we typically see them in, like, August, because we can't make it to their son's birthday party because it's typically, like, the same day as Emmy's birthday party.
And they live, like, an hour and a half south from us.
So we try to go down there for Emmy's birthday, and they come up here.
But I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love the idea that one day, like, Emmy and I don't want to say their kid's name
and their son. Yeah,
let's call him L.
Emmy their son.
No, it don't really work. Yeah, it'd be nice, like, when they're like 15, 16, they're still friends.
Yeah,
and they are aware of why they're friends.
Yeah,
and
but what's funny is
I'm excited to talk to Emmy about her birth.
But they never met. Emmy and friend's little boy.
No. Let's call him L. That makes it easier, doesn't it?
No, because call him a different, because that's the first letter in his name.
So?
Call him B.
Okay.
Boy.
Okay, B and Emmy never met because they're in different rooms of the NICU.
Yeah.
You have ICU 1, 2, 3, HDMI, HDU, and special care.
Yeah.
Special care is when you're about to go home.
Yeah.
But in the house, we're hanging out with the parents.
Yeah.
So they met Henry, and Henry met B. When B came home, they came over to the house because they left before we did. So there's a picture of the man. I hate them.
Our friends and their son.
Our friend, their baby son, and Henry, and he's holding both of them. And now that baby, B is massive. He's the size of Henry.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, he wasn't premature. He had something else wrong. Yeah. But it's really
They never met until Henry's birthday.
Yeah, no.
Isn't that crazy?
It's wild, isn't it? Yeah. I remember the meeting at the party. Yeah.
But to be honest, we had a pretty straightforward, and it wasn't relaxed, but in hindsight and compared to other stories that we've heard and witnessed through NICU, we had a pretty standard story. Like,
yeah, we were very lucky. We were there for a long time, but not as long as other people, and our journey wasn't as bad as other people's journey.
Yeah.
But our journey wasn't as easy as some of we've spoke to people about this. Like, every person's trauma is their own trauma. Yeah. And you can stay in there for 2 days and it can traumatize you for life. For life. Yep. So the last thing I want to say about the charity house quickly is, and like meeting friends, was how much that helped us. Like, we went for one therapy session, didn't we?
Yeah. Hated it
because it can work for other people. I'm not going to say it doesn't work. It just didn't
work for us.
But the professional nurse, doctor, whatever she wasn't going through what we were going through. Mm-hmm. So we can even talk to our own family about, we could talk to them and they were sympathetic, but they weren't going through it. They didn't get it. They didn't understand. But then you're talking to a stranger in the kitchen at midnight. And
whose child is going through the same thing or similar.
We genuinely loved their kids as well. Yeah. So B, who we were just talking about, we never met him until the very end either. Yeah. But we heard about him every single day, and we cared about him and all the other kids. And there was some cases where.
We had a group chat at some point with everybody, and then as everybody left the NICU, a couple people left the group chat because of not great outcomes with their children, and they couldn't be reminded.
Worst possible outcome.
Yeah, the worst outcomes, which I fully understand. It would be hard to see the kids that were born at the same time and things like that. And then also just life happens, and we kind of stopped chatting in that group. But also, most of the people in that group chat were at the very end of our NICU stay.
We spoke about this before. We had such an amazing group in that house. I don't know. Everyone got on so well. You could speak to any couple and have a good laugh with them. Yeah. Everyone as a group would have a big laugh if we all met up in the living room or something like that. We
watched the football game.
Oh, the Euro. No.
I don't know what it was, but we watched a big football game, and we all moved the chairs in the living room. We kept Henry up late.
The World Cup?
I don't know.
I can't remember. September 2022. What was that? It
wasn't September. It was like later on.
Oh, it was the World Cup in Qatar. Yeah, it was December.
Yeah. We did that with them. We're friends with a couple of them on Facebook. It was those people that got us through. Yeah. Even this is dumb because I'm struggling to find things to say about Emmy because it's all just very medical. Like, she came off of CPAP and went on to something else. We tried her with something like it's all that. And I think the most important part for us, aside from Emmy being okay, of course, but was the charity house. Mm-hmm. And like, Dan fully embraced himself in the drama of the house. Like, somebody would leave a dish in the sink and it would be like,
oh, so good. So good. I was like, how are you be so disrespectful? How you leave a sharp knife poking upwards in the dishwasher? There are new posters and rules around the kitchen because I implemented them.
But it was always it was never anything angry. It was always because I remember there being one, and I don't think this one was you, but somebody put a sticky note on a dirty dish and it said a joke.
It was a pot of super noodles which hadn't been washed, and everyone knows the easiest way to wash super noodles is to rinse it out immediately.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to dry.
Yeah.
So somebody did that, put it on the side. We know exactly who it was, and I'm going to call this person Jay, who's one of, like, my best mate in the house, and he put a sticky note saying, "Come on, it takes 2 seconds to wash this."
Yeah.
And he put it on there. He said, let's see who it was. Like, see if they respond or they actually pull their act together. But it's all just, we were like joking about it.
Yeah.
We weren't actually.
It was always just like playful.
And then a note got put on underneath it saying, "I'll be right back." So then Jay put another one on there saying, "Okay, Terminator." And then it stayed there for like another day or something like that. And then, it was like, why can't they just wash it up? How can you stay in
You fully embraced yourself.
How can you stay in a free accommodated like house, like this place, and not clean up after yourself and be respectful?
That couple was like fabulous. They were some of my. Do you remember he cooked us?
Jay.
Yeah. He cooked us
he cooked us
a curry.
He cooked us a curry, yeah.
With like
he
naan.
He learnt by living in London. And
yeah.
He said
it was delicious. That's where I first had mango chutney, and his was phenomenal.
Everything made from scratch.
Everything.
He went shopping in Clifton in like the proper
bougie
fruit and veg place. We used to call him posh. But yeah, he was class.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah,
It's those things. Even if you don't have a charity house and you're going through something like this,
I just said I loved it.
You loved the charity house.
I loved the people there because I'm not shitting on anyone, obviously, but when people started moving out and going home or moving to a different hospital and all that, our last few weeks when newer people came in, that whole like vibe went.
Yeah.
And then the new people, like, I'm still trying to act like, I'm now acting like welcoming because I've lived there for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I want them to feel, I'm not like getting involved in their business, but I want them to realize, like, everyone's on, like, if you want to have a chat, like, everyone's super friendly here.
Yeah.
And we struggled with the last few people. Don't know if you can remember. I'm not specifically saying, but it just felt like that. Like, we watched the World Cup together, as you were saying. Like, all of us got the seats in the living room. It was great. And then as everyone went home, when we left, that vibe wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because everyone was going through their own thing. And it was,
I'm sure.
That's what I mean by I think our
was,
group was just
but
great.
But, like, if you remember when we first got there, the people who had been there for a long time and were still there, they weren't as involved in our group as the people who had just had their babies, because you're going through it together, because our babies were born roughly at the same time, and like,
if you've already been there for 3 months,
and if you've already been there for 3 months, and you're like, for fuck's sake, it's their due date, I want to get out of here, but you still have to stay. Like, you're less involved with the social aspect of it.
I wasn't.
Well,
no, I was.
Yeah. But I think even if you don't,
it was different. I think it was different for me because I had Henry during the day. I was in the house quite a bit. If it was chucking it down with rain, we're playing in the lounge. Yeah. So I got to know the other parents.
Yeah, we definitely did not stay in the room very often.
I didn't want Henry to stay in a bedroom for 3 months.
Yeah, so we took him to the park every day, or if it was raining, we'd go downstairs and play in the lounge. Yeah. It was really strange because the seasons changed while we were in there. It was summer when I went in, then we came out in winter.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I think the most important part if you're having a NICU journey or something like that is, even if you don't have a charity house, to find some kind of forum where it's not, you talk about your children, obviously, but it's also have a laugh with people. Like that it was so much better just being able to have a laugh, but they also know what you're going through and what they're going through, and
go on a night out with them.
Yeah. Like we won't talk about that. So I marked this day because Emmy moved to HDU. It was day 39. And HDU is like the step before the step of going home.
Yeah, well, this is almost bang on halfway.
Yeah.
And I remember.
No, wait. Yeah. Sorry.
Day 39, and we're there almost 90.
You're right.
Yeah. So, but I remember going to HDU, thinking, "All right, it's only gonna be like a couple of weeks now."
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting
that
that wrong.
Do you want me to read what I wrote?
Yeah.
Well, we wrote.
I don't remember being in there for over a month, though.
High flow reduced to 6 liters. So she was taken off of CPAP at this point, and she was given just oxygen prongs in her nose, which is called high flow. And they were reducing her levels of oxygen to hopefully wean her off of it. She was 32 weeks gestation, and she was not weighed that morning, which we write about.
You must move your mic so then you can actually hear yourself. Been bugging me.
I think this is you writing. Our handwriting is very similar. This is you. Hey, Emmy, you had a great night and morning. You haven't been weighed, but you have had your high flow reduced from 71 to 61. Woohoo! Dada is popping home today to see Freddie and pick Henry up from Uncle John and Auntie Jen's. Love you, Dada. And then I wrote, Morning, Em. You're looking so good. I can't believe how perfect you are. I love you. Love, Mom. You're in a new... And then I came back. So that was one message. And then I came back. Mm-hmm. You're in a new room, Pip. HDU. Big move. One more step closer to coming home. Love you. And then you wrote in really big letters, HDU. Just before your 40th day, you have been promoted up a step to high dependence. So proud of you, girl. I love you so much, Dada. Dada left contact lenses split in twos. Very painful. But okay now. Blurry.
Oh, my contact lens split in half in my eye. I was like, what the hell? Something's in my
Dada's left contact lens split in two.
I was like, oh my God, I got to take this out. Took it out and it's in half.
It's because you wear them for too long. Let's see what Henry did.
Half. I remember that.
Henry is still with Auntie Jen.
This is the most boring thing to listen to if you're not us.
Yeah, that's true.
You're listening to someone else read their
their
diary out.
Okay, we'll skip ahead. So that was day 39. Emmy's first bottle feed happened on day 48.
Wild. Because that bottle is like...
Itty bitty.
Itty bitty.
Yeah, so she was tube fed. Bottle. She was tube fed for almost 50 days. And then...
Oh, we had the speech and language woman.
Yeah, that's later though.
Oh.
And on this day, she switched from an incubator into a cot.
Oh, I remember.
That was such a special day.
Oh, yeah. And she was putting pajamas.
Yeah, and we could put clothes on her.
What day was that?
48.
So day 48, our daughter was allowed clothes on for the first time. And seeing, I can picture it in my head, the pink one. Oh, it was like,
and it was right before Halloween, so that's why we have the picture of Henry dressed as a monkey with Emmy in her cot.
We took Henry dressed as a monkey into the NICU.
We took Henry.
Everyone
absolutely loved it. Yeah, we took Henry a couple times to see Emmy, but it was one of those things.
Cheered everyone up.
It was one of those things, though, that was really difficult for us to manage because. I mean, Henry's only 16, 17 months old, and we're taking him into a very boring room with sick babies who he can't touch or play with, you know? So
our schedule was...
I would go in the morning.
We had breakfast together, but you'd leave me and Henry at breakfast.
Yeah. And then you would have lunch with Henry, and I'd be with Emmy, and then we would switch.
We'd switch at lunchtime.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time we didn't. You just came out at lunchtime, and then we went as a family to the park or something like that.
Yeah, and then you would go at night. Well, not nighttime, but in the...
Yeah. I remember some days going there for the first time at like 9 o'clock at night.
It was probably because of something, though.
Yeah.
We did have a...
I might have gone home for the day with Henry or something.
We had a pretty good schedule.
Yeah.
But we would take Henry in, the two of us would, and then one of us would take Henry out after like 5 minutes because it was quite boring for him today. It was quite boring for him. It was my birthday. I had a massage.
Oh, yeah.
All right, skipping ahead. We are now 70 days in. Oh, I'm going to read this because it's sweet and it's for us, isn't it? She was 70 days old and we did not write this.
Yeah. I don't know if the cat is coming up on the mics. Because normally our dog barking.
She's in heat.
Our dog is literally going, our cat is going, oh,
Dear Emmy, it's Leah here. I'm a student nurse.
She was so nice.
Yeah. I started my placement here 10 weeks ago, just as you arrived. You were so tiny and your lovely parents got to spend a few extra weeks with you. You were early to the party. I wish you all the happiness, health, and love in the world. The world is your oyster. Emmy with love from Leah.
She finished her placement, didn't she?
Yeah, she finished. That's when she left because her training was done there. But she was there from when Emmy was born to. Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. That's why I marked that one.
Let's talk quickly about the NICU nurses.
Fantastic, all of them.
Yeah, every single one, and they put just as much care into each baby. Like they don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're just so good.
Yeah.
But I remember there being some nights where, because I was doing like the nighttime visits, just works better for me anyway.
You're a night person.
Yeah. But I remember going there one night at like 10 o'clock and I came back in at like 4 a.m. and I was talking to, what was his name? His name was Dan as well. Italian Dan.
Yeah.
Well,
Italian Dan.
Yeah. The nurse, Italian Dan. It was him and one of the nurses. Can't remember which one. And we were literally just chatting like we were mates. They were doing what they needed to do, feeds and all this. But they were talking about what festival they want to go to, or what they did last year, and what holiday they're trying to book. And us three were just having a normal conversation, like normal human beings. Yeah. And I forgot for a minute that they are actually actual nurses looking after like 5 to 8 babies. Yeah. And it was just
crazy. They were
just awesome.
Like looking at the names, I recognize, like I remember so many of them.
Because they treat you as a friend after from day one. They treat you like that. But because you're there for months. Yeah. You get familiar with them, and they all had COVID masks on. Face masks on.
We didn't know what they looked like.
No, and then we went back and visited like a month after we moved out, and the restrictions were lifted. Yeah, and I was like, "That's what she looks like." She looks nothing like, because you
make up their face in your head.
If you meet someone, not like that.
Yeah,
your brain just tells you what you think they look like, and then they don't look like.
And then they don't look anything like that. So strange. Yeah. So on day 78, Emmy weighed 5.5 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. On day 81, you wrote, there are a lot of talks and plans going on about coming home soon.
Can I read one
being
page?
Amazing.
I haven't read any pages of this. You hog.
Yeah, I am a hog.
Hogger. You didn't even say yes.
I didn't.
Yeah. I want to just read one page. I'm not going to read that one because I think it's. I mean, I don't want to read the last page. All right, this one. 38 weeks and 5 days. Just corrected gestation age. 85 days. Her weight was 47 grams. 5 pounds.
Not 47 grams.
Why? No, she's put on 47 grams. Yeah, anyway, she's 2.6 kg now. What happened today? Not a lot happened today. Just you being amazing and completing so many of your feeds. Smiley face. Proud of you, Emmy. Love you, Dada, Mama, and Henry.
Very nice. And the last page is just nurses. We don't need to read that.
Yeah. Oh, so sweet.
Yeah.
Sonia
was fantastic.
Olivia as well.
Yep.
I love that they had her like on like her last days.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What?
That's it.
It is 87 days. I've been saying for the last 2.5 years, we were in there for 89 days. It's 87 days. Do you want to read the last page?
Ooh.
Day 87. I can't believe that.
Whoever wrote this didn't sign it.
Why did I think it was 89 days? Because I was saying about rounding it up to 90.
Today is the day, Emmy. She was exactly 39 weeks gestation. That's maybe why you thought 89. I don't know.
She was what?
39 weeks gestation.
Oh, right.
So maybe that's what you thought.
Yeah.
Today is the day, Emmy. You are coming home. What a journey. We are beyond proud of you. Let's go home. Love you. From Dada, Mama, and Henry.
And Emmy is crying. Sorry about that. Emmy started crying upstairs. The first time we've done an episode and she's actually woken up during it.
Yeah.
Her ears were burning, I think. So, I think we should get to the end of this episode.
Yeah.
So,
like the NICU, I've said it 1,000 times. Our story was not wavy. It was pretty much.
We're very lucky.
Up the entire time. We were extremely lucky. And yeah, find yourself a support system if you're going through a NICU story.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's what got us through it, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's skip to, well, the last thing. This will be the last thing that I mention about young Emmy, and then we'll start talking about who she is today.
Yeah.
She was discharged from the hospital on oxygen.
Yeah.
So we had to have like the fire department come here and like do a scan of the house and like where we're keeping and storing our oxygen. And she came off of that within 3 months. But yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
changing the stickers
on
there.
her face, and she would be red raw from the stickers. Yeah, it was awful. But yeah, she came home on a trickle of oxygen, and she was.
You should take a backpack around
with an oxygen tank
and stuff. Yeah, crazy.
But Emmy now is amazing.
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5.
Walking, talking, running.
Yep, perfectly healthy.
She's just
She's
I'm amazed by her every day.
She has so much more sass than Henry ever had.
Yeah, she's nasty.
She can be so.
She's
sassy.
like, you know what shit I've been through. What do I want? No, she's great.
We've just moved her into a big girl bed. We waited longer with Emmy than we did with Henry.
Yeah, well, we tried to move her months ago.
Yeah. And
she ended up in Henry's bed.
Yeah.
But like half on the floor and half on his bed.
Like standing.
Like she just wasn't. She wouldn't stay in her bed.
And she liked her cot. It wasn't like.
She's so small as well.
Yeah.
She's diddy.
She is. She's very small. I don't actually know how much Emmy weighs.
Nor do I.
I think.
But she's so light.
Yeah.
But her hair is so long. So the longest in her class, but she's at nursery. But she's the shortest as well.
If you have babies, you probably know this. Most babies, when they're born, if they have a little bit of hair, it recedes.
Yeah.
Like Henry's receded a little bit, so he looks like a bit of an old man when he was like, I don't know, 3 months old. Emmy's did recede. She was born with hair, but
Emmy went bald everywhere.
Sorry. Emmy went like completely bald all over her head except for right here at the front.
Got a little island at the front. So we've never seen Emmy with like no hair, like no fringe.
Yeah, she had that.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, apart from the very, very beginning. But
yeah, and she goes to nursery 4 days a week. She does fantastic.
What about her
there.
milestones? So she was obviously 3 months behind other kids.
They told us that she would
age.
always be a little like until about 2 years old. She wouldn't be hitting the milestones with kids that are her exact age. And that was true. Like she took steps last summer, so she would have been pushing 2 before she even started taking steps.
Yeah, I remember her being a baby for like 5 years.
Yeah.
She's 2.5, but it felt like, because you got to think about this as well. So we took home a baby the size of a small newborn.
Yeah.
But we had already spent 3 months with her, and then she didn't start walking until she was almost 2.
Yeah.
So it was like, it felt like she was like a baby in her
For
baby
so
stage
long.
for so, and Henry was walking at 9 months.
Yeah.
So the vast how different both of them were.
But I also think it made us baby her more than we ever babied Henry too. So I think that's also why she might be a little bit more sassy than Henry.
Yeah, it's harder to tell her off.
Yeah.
um,
yeah, she's amazing. She's talking more and more every day. She's hitting those milestones now.
And she's officially signed off from the hospital as well. They keep an eye on her on premature babies for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then if there's anything they need to do after those 2 years, then at least they're
following up and everything.
But her main doctor, Beth, who delivered her, we had a meeting. When was it? A month ago?
No, it was before Henry's birthday. I feel like it was March.
Week before his birthday, I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah, so in April we went for one more meeting there, and
it was basically just a sign-off meeting because I think in December
it was the meeting. Isn't it the appointment?
Yeah.
That we were talking about when she was first born, like when she's 2, and I'm thinking, when she's 2, that's gonna be ages away. Yeah.
But in December, she had we met with a physical therapy team so they could do tests on her to see, like, when I say that, it's not medical tests. It's like just seeing where she is cognitively. Can you find the picture of the kid running? And she'd like point.
She amazed me in that. She knew so much more than I thought she did.
Yeah, because her speech has definitely picked up in the last 6 months.
Yes.
Way more than it was in December. So yeah, I was surprised by her too.
Yeah.
But we're
gonna end it on a poem.
Yeah. So
This is the first for the late Mike show.
So the doctor who delivered Emmy, I think it was at our first appointment after Emmy had been discharged. We were all sitting in the room. She had done Emmy's checks, and she said, "This might be strange to you, but every time I deliver a premature baby, I have so much emotion because of the worry and everything with a premature baby that I always go home and I write a poem, an individualized poem for each of the babies. And I print it out and I give it to the parents at their first checkup appointment once they've been discharged." So this is that poem.
How sweet is that?
Yeah. It's called Fairy Godmother. Maybe she flew past me unseen as we rushed into the room, pulling on hats and gowns, wing beats masks. What? Wing beats.
You're going to have to start that again. I was thinking, what a lovely way to finish this podcast.
Okay. It's called Fairy Godmother. Maybe she flew past me unseen as we rushed into the room, pulling on hats and gowns, wing beats masked by the flap of theater drapes, the squeak of clogs on the floor. I thought I had outgrown fairy stories, gifts, curses, infants predestined. Here you are, thumbling, splaying your limbs. Perhaps there is magic in the air.
Spraying your limbs?
Splaying.
Splaying your limbs?
Limbs.
You said splims.
Did I?
What a lovely poem.
It is. Do you get it?
Nope.
Okay. So
in there and out there.
She's saying...
I got a bit about the squeaky floor.
The fairy godmother was there. So she's saying maybe the fairy godmother beat me to the room, essentially, as they all rushed in, pulling on hats, gowns, masks, getting ready for an emergency C-section. And maybe the wing beats were masked by the drapes in the theater, like the sheets and stuff. And then she thought she had outgrown fairy stories of children with gifts or curses or infants predestined. And then there's Emmy thumbling and like flailing like a healthy newborn would do. And perhaps there's magic in the air from the fairy godmother.
The first time, I do know. The first time you read it, none of it stuck in there. But that's so sweet.
Yeah, I'm glad we kept that. That's 2 years old.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You can't beat pen and paper. It's not even a pen.
It's typed.
It's been a long one. I thought it's going to be like an half an hour.
It's a little bit sporadic too. So
if you've got to the end of this one, I keep saying this, if you've got to the end of this one, fair play and give us a follow. But if you've got to the end of this one, fair play to you. Yeah. You are an OG of this.
It was less about channel. Emmy and more about like being in the NICU in a charity house and stuff. But yeah, I think it's important still.
Yeah. I'm glad that we've covered Emmy's story. We finished each other's sentences then. Yeah. Anyway, leave a like if you would like to. Follow.
If you would follow too.
Anyway, I'm going to send this right now. Thank you, everyone, and we will
see you after bedtime.
See you after bedtime.